Hey everybody, this is Tim, aka Smitty Geek, and I'm back with another gear review. This time we're talking about the Fender Rumble 100 bass amp. Now, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this, and then we'll hear some samples on what it sounds like. Now, I do play bass, and it's always good to have a bass laying around, but I didn't want to spend a lot of money on an amplifier. And I did a little bit of research, and I found that this was a really good option for under, the $400 price range. Now, what I like about this particular amp, first of all, it's a 100-watt amplifier, so it's got plenty of power, and it will run you out of a room. So don't let the size fool you. It has a 12-inch speaker and a horn in it, a Fender speaker and a horn, so it's got a good bright clear sound, which you guys will hear in a minute. Also, it's basically 23 inches tall by, I think 18 inches deep, and right around 20 or so in depth. And believe it or not, this thing only weighs 20 pounds. So anybody who's played bass for any length of time will let you know that, that's nothing for a 100-watt amp. I can remember back in the day when a 100-watt bass amp was one of those things you had to carry in with a hand truck. It was almost impossible to carry it in by yourself, and if it was, it took a lot of oomph. But with some of the innovations with digital technology and lighter power amps, they've been able to reduce the weight of this down to 21, 22 pounds, which is crazy because you would never believe that this little amp puts out as much sound as it does. Okay, so now we're looking at the top of the amplifier. One thing, of course, it does have a nice handle on it. First of all, you do have a red standard power light, which is pretty standard for most, if not all, Fender products. Let me go through some of the controls that you have on it. First of all, you have your input gain control right here. A nice smooth pot. I do like the vintage style old school knobs they put on this, which is kind of reminiscent of a lot of the Fender amps from the late 60s and early 70s. Then you also have I guess you can say, some capability to adjust your sound a little bit. First of all, you have a vintage section here, so if you want to give it that vintage warm sound like you would get from an old Fender Bassman or maybe an SVT, you can click that in and it'll kind of emulate that sound. Then you have a contour switch, which is kind of nice, kind of even things out a little bit. And you have a bright switch, so if you're going to be popping or doing some funk, you can choose that. This is a nice feature next to that. This is an overdrive feature. You have a distortion preamp section and an overall level section. So if you want to do more grungy punk, harder, heavier stuff where you have a dirty sound, you can use that section there. Then you have your bass control, a low mid control, a high mid control, and then a treble. So you have a 4-band equalization system in this, which is nice. A lot of amps in this price range only give you a 3-band. And then, of course, you have your master output. Usually, with my playing situation, I do play from time to time with an acoustic guitar. I only get to about here. But I do know that with this particular amp, this will work just fine in a live situation with a live band, no problem. I see no reason why you can't use this with electric guitar and drums and a full band situation. So, of course, you can go plenty of headroom on this, no problem at all. And then, of course, here you have your channel input right there. And then you do so when you use the overdrive channel, you have an LED indicator there to help you with that. Now let's take a look at the back section real quick. Okay, now on the back, you do have quite a bit of options as well, which is kind of neat there again for the price range of this amplifier. Of course, here you have your on-off power switch. Very easy to reach over the amp. Just pop that on. You don't have to struggle too hard to find it. I do wish they would have put it on the front, but it's still kind of nice to be able to just kind of feel it and just click it on without any real effort. You have an effects chain, which is a nice feature to have. So if you want to run pedals, you can just go in and out of the effects chain. You have an auxiliary in input, so if you want to jam along to something off of your phone or CD or whatever, you can go right into that. And it is an 1/8" plug versus a 1/4" plug, which is kind of nice because a lot of things are now using that setup. Then you have a headphone input. There again, this is a nice thing to have so you can practice in the middle of the night and not disturb anybody. And it is an 1/8". There again, that's like a pretty common thing as well. And then you have a foot switch control, so you can change between these different sounds on the amp. So those are really nice. And then one really nice feature about this right here is you have a direct output. So if you do want to run out to a PA or for recording, you can simply plug into that. So then it doesn't matter how loud your band is. If you're going through the house PA system, you can just go straight out of here. And it does have a ground lift, which is a really nice feature. So overall, this is a pretty cool little setup for anyone looking to save some money and not spend a little bit of money. I was able to get this on sale for $300. I think they normally run about $329, and if you check online, you may find yourself in a situation where you can get one on sale and maybe get one for around the $300 price range. Let's go ahead and see how this thing sounds. Okay, so in this next little clip, I'm going to demonstrate what it sounds like using my Ibanez Micro 4-string bass. Now this is just a basic entry-level bass guitar. Has passive pickups, straight up 4-string, nothing really super fancy about this little bass guitar. But with this amp, it does sound quite good. I've got everything turned up about halfway with the exception of the bass. I've got it rolled back to about 11 o'clock. So let's go ahead and give it a nice go. I do have my contour switch selected because I do like the vintage warm sound. So I'm just going to kind of noodle around a little bit. I'm not the best bass player, but it will give you an idea of what this thing sounds like. As you can tell, it gets plenty loud. I wasn't really plucking that hard on the bass. I wasn't having to really crank the volume too much on this, and it's got a really nice warm sound. Another nice thing I liked about this particular bass is it actually sounded great with a 5-string. It didn't break up on the low B. When I was looking at this amp, I did play a 5-string bass through it, and I noticed it was able to handle it. So it sounded really good. And there again, other amps in this price range either were too heavy, or there's just something about them I didn't like the tone so much. But I really, really love the way this little Fender Rumble 100 sounds, and it works great for me. So if you're looking for a great little amp without spending a whole lot of money, I highly recommend it. Maybe you're looking for a small practice amp that, for your band, or you just need something that's lightweight that you don't need to break your back carrying in and out of a gig room. I would suggest this amp as well. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this bass amp, or you have this bass amp, leave me a like or a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And we'll talk to you guys again soon. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you guys. Thanks. Bye.